Well, good evening, folks. This is Terry, your Amazon private label coach. And tonight, I just want to invite you to this hangout, or not invite you, but welcome you to this hangout, where we're going to talk about 5 things you need to consider, things you need to know about that product that you're going to pull the trigger with, and you're going to buy to sell on Amazon or wherever you're going to sell it. It doesn't have to be Amazon. It can be anywhere. But that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And why is that so important? Because believe me, if there's a lot of people out there that are buying stuff, they're selling it on Amazon, they're selling that stuff on Amazon, and you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, they're not making any money. They're talking about this, they got their sales are way up there and everything else, but when it all comes to said and done at the end of the year, they're not making any money. Why? Because the margins aren't good. They're not considering everything that goes into selling a product on Amazon. It's not only the cost of the product I talk all about in the corner. They talk to the supplier and get the supplier down in your costs and everything like that. That's not the most important thing. You've got some really heavy stuff to contend with anymore. It's not like it used to be. UPS, FedEx, and all that, they would go by the weight, but now they're going by dimensional weight, which makes a big difference. I don't know about you, but it added almost a fourth to my shipping costs, and just overnight, and that's a lot. That makes a big difference, you know. But all that stuff kind of sneaks up on you and comes in, and then all of a sudden you realize you're not making any money. And I've got a feeling that's happening a lot out there because, well, for instance, if you go on the forum, and I've been on a lot of the different forums in different groups and everything like that, and I'm not going to mention names here. It doesn't make any difference. They're all the same. But you catch those groups, and the people on them are different than what they were 6 months ago, completely different from what they were a year ago. And why? Oh, I think it's because the people are going in, they're really getting excited, they're doing all this, and then finding out at the end of the year or something that they're not making any money, and they're kind of backing off, and they're feeling like failures because all these gurus are saying how much money they're selling every month and all that. But well, I'm not going to mention, like I say, I'm not going to say anything. What I'm trying to say is we need to be aware of these different things because you want to make money. That's the whole thing. If you're not making money in this, it's a neat business, and there's a lot of good fellowship and good camaraderie on here. But if you're not making any money, well, then it's absolutely no good. So let's go over and we'll talk more about that later on. But let's go on over. Like usual, I've got a slideshow prepared over here, and we're going to go over here and I'm going to bring it up. And this is the 5 important facts that you should know about choosing a private label product to sell. And the first thing you need to know is, and this is just a given, due diligence pays big time. In other words, you know, that's the difference between private label and like retail arbitrage. You go out and you find something and you maybe scan it, and Scan Power or whoever you use gives you a reading and say you should be able to make money on it. And notice, of course, I said the fact you should be able, because a lot of times you're not make money, and so you pull the trigger, you buy the product, you send it in, and find out, you know. And so this is what we want to do, is because that's what difference between private label and other types of, like say, retail arbitrage or something like that. It's the due diligence. Due diligence pays big time, but you got to do your due diligence in private label before. You want to know exactly it's going to cost you, whether you're going to make money or whether you're not. And so that's what makes private label different. It's not something that you can just play games with. You need to know, because if you're going to be able to enjoy that private label lifestyle where you're sitting back on the beach or wherever it is you choose to go, and you're working your business and you're making sure the inventory gets in and all that's considered in the private label, then you want to make sure that these 5 things are something you know. So we're going to go through them, and here the first one now is, and I've talked about this before, and I probably continue talking until the day I die, because it's don't reinvent the wheel. You know, what can I tell you, folks? Don't reinvent the wheel. I don't know how many people that will come up to me or send me a PA or something like that and say, Terry, I've gone over to Alibaba or gone over to Wholesale Brands or something like that. And how do I know what to pick? Oh, and I just sometimes I want to pull my hair out because I talked about this. You don't want to go to Alibaba to pick your product. Maybe later on, but not to pick your product. Did you hear what I said? Don't go looking for something new to sell, and don't go look for the next Disney Frozen. You're not going to find it. I mean, sure, you maybe could, but I think your chances are 1 in a couple million, or probably more than that as far as that goes. You don't want to be looking for the next new thing, and don't worry about it. You want something that's a proven seller that you can make better. So, and that's if you look down there, do look for a product that is selling good on Amazon that you can make better. What do I mean by that? That you can make better? Can you ask yourself, can I add to the perceived value without adding much additional cost? Now, that's a little bit said. It means a lot, but so how can you add to the perceived value? Well, one thing I always talk about is a lot of people just they don't care. They buy something in a cellophane bag, put a label on it, and send it to Amazon and think that's really going to do it, and it will in some cases like that. But the thing about it is, if you're going to be selling a product, a private label, and if you want that product to look good, you want that product to stand out, it represents you. You want that product to stand up and notice and say, hey, look at me, I'm different from everybody else. And that's where we talk about using all your pictures and everything in your listing, but it's also the perceived value. If you take something that's in a cellophane bag, say you put a necklace or something like that in a cellophane bag, or if you put it in a nice box with a piece of cotton or what do you want to call it in the bottom there, so it really shines up, it might cost you 2-3 cents more for that product, but don't you think that looks a lot better? That's what I'm talking about, perceived value. Perceived value. You want your product to stand out and take notice. You want your product to be looked at. You want your product to stand up and, like I say, shout, hey, look at me, I'm different. So that's what we're talking about. Don't reinvent the wheel. You want to look for a product that is selling good on Amazon that you can make better, and that's how you make it better. You change that perceived value. You can also add instructions. A lot of the products on Amazon don't come with any instructions. Everything just gets shipped out, and the customer is supposed to know that. You can. That's another thing about it. Putting in a box, you can put instructions in there. You can put a thank you letter to your customer. There's a lot of things you can do. So, but that's what you want to. You want to ask yourself, can I add to the perceived value without adding much to the additional cost? I mean, what's a couple cents if you got a product that's selling for $30-$40? A couple cents here or there can make a big difference. Not as I'm talking about, not in cost, could make a big difference in the perceived value, and that's what you want. You want that perceived value to stand out. You want your product to look like it's number one, which it will be because it's got that perceived value. And then if you want to make your product better than your competitors, look at your competitors' 2- and 3-star reviews. They'll tell you, even a 4-star review, they'll tell you what the customer liked and what the customer didn't like about your competitor's product. And that's how you learn to make your product better. If they've got something that's constant, goes through all the reviews and everything like that, that says that they don't like this about the product, well, for gosh sakes, make sure that your product doesn't have that flaw in it, that it's going to be better. It's going to be say perceived value, what do you want to call it, but it's going to be better, which is going to show. So that's the number one thing, is don't reinvent the wheel. You don't want to go to Alibaba or Wholesale Brands or quite a few of the other places like that, and you don't want to go there looking for your product. You want to go to Amazon. You want to look for something that's selling good, and then make that product better. Make your own product better. That's how you win at this game. You don't want to take your chance. You go to Alibaba and say, oh man, this is great, I need to get this, and then you get it and you fall flat on it. You order 100 and you only sell 10 or 12, and you're stuck with them. Let me tell you, come on, folks. Don't reinvent the wheel. Take a product that's selling good and make it better. So that's the number one thing. That's, believe me, the number one thing when you're considering a product. Don't reinvent the wheel. Number two, Amazon rank doesn't lie. Think low. I mean, why? If you've got your choice between a product that's ranked number 50 and you've got a product that's number 5,000, which one? And you can do the exact same with it. Which one would you take? Well, you're going to take that product that's 50, right? Why? Because that lower rank means more turns, which means more profit. Now, more people are looking, means more people are looking for that widget. If blue widgets and the main blue widget is up there at number 50, then that means people are looking for it. It means that thing is flying off the shelf. They're probably selling 20 or 30 a day, depends on the category. But that's what you want. You lower. You want to look lower. You want to get out there, and some people. I think a lot of people are really scared. They take that product and they're looking way out there, 25, 35, 40,000 or something like that. Don't do it. Why? You're going to have to spend as much time promoting that 40,000 product or as you are promoting a 40 product. So why don't you set yourself up to win and look for things that are low? Think how low you can go. So more it means, what to say, the more people are looking for that 50 project than they are for that 25,000. So take advantage of it. More people are buying that widget. If it's ranked that, then it's selling, because that's Google puts the ranks on there, and that's strictly by what's selling. So if it's ranked 50, it's selling. It's flying off the shelf. So for gosh sakes, take advantage of it. And then the thing you need to be cognizant of is ranks change by the hour. So go over there and use camel, and check back for a year. There's other places, and I'm not going to go into that. Be scope, not the scope of this message we're talking about tonight, but you want to check back. Do your due diligence. Check. Spend your time, because remember, in private label, all the work is up front. Once you get that product set, you get your supplier set and everything else, it's just a piece of cake. You can set up in the thing to have Amazon notify you when it's time to restock, and all you have to do is process the fulfillment order, not fulfillment order for Amazon, but process the fulfillment order for your supplier, get the product sent to Amazon, and you're good to go. There's not much to do after. That's the nice thing about private label. That's the reason you can have that private label lifestyle, because everything's done up front, and once it's done and you've got that product set, you're good. So, and then the best rank sets the price. Now, I know some people would maybe argue on this, but it's not. If you've got a blue widget, your number one blue widget is got that rank of 50. That's the price that other ones are gonna sell for. You don't want to come with a product that's going to be too much lower than that. But if it is better, don't forget, perceived value allows you to add to the thing. So that's another reason for using that, getting that perceived value. For God's sakes, I think it's a waste of time to put your product in a cellophane bag, or what you want to call it. Sometimes blister packs aren't so bad, but in one of those bags, put a label on or something like that. That's like a Happy Meal toy, as far as I'm concerned. And I know a lot of people might get offended when I say that, but I mean it. Make your product stand out. That rank doesn't look. You want to do whatever's possible to get your rank up there, and one of those things is by having it look good and taking that rank. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Doesn't really make sense. I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is, think low. You're going to spend as much time on a 50 product that's ranked 50,000 as you one that's going to rank 50,000. So spend the time, do it, and do it right. So that's number two. Amazon ranks doesn't low. Think low. That's your second one. So the third thing is, how many reviews can you overcome? Now, here again, we've talked about this different times on this program. Excuse me just a minute, I gotta get some water there. So how many reviews can you overcome? Did I didn't say how many reviews can you get? I said how many reviews can you overcome? How many reviews can you afford? That's the big thing. If you've got a product that you're going to duplicate, you're going to make better, then and that product has got 100 reviews, or is it got 1,000 reviews? So what do you think about that? Can you afford 1,000 reviews? How many reviews can you got to get 1,001? If you want to jump ahead of that in the rankings and you want to be number one for blue widgets, then you have to have more than 1,000 reviews. So can you afford that? Can you afford it? You get out there, and if you don't have the money to it, then don't go to something else that's got 100 reviews that you can afford to jump over. Because how do you get the best way to get reviews that I know of is to go on the forums or something like that and say, hey guys, I've got this new product and I really need to get it ranked up there. I'd be willing to sell it to you for almost cost or maybe below cost. There's just one condition: you have to give me a review. And so that's the best way I know to get reviews. I mean, you can get reviews, but you send a love letter and all that, and you're going to get reviews, but you're not going to get them fast. So if you want to jump in the ranks and you want to get the reviews fast, you're going to have to spend some money. Because you either have to get more reviews or you're just an also ran. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be an also ran. I want to be up there. I want to have that top spot. And like my friend down there standing on top, all those people underneath him, because he did his due diligence. He was watching what he did, and he made sure that he could do it. And so know what it's going to cost you. How many reviews can you afford to get? Because like I say, that's pretty much the way you're going to have to get them. There's other ways out there to get reviews, but not fast. And believe me, if in this game you want to get up there, you want to get on top as fast as you can. So you don't want to be an also ran. You want to get up there and get those reviews. So Amazon only has one top spot for each listing. If you're selling blue widgets, they've only got one number one spot for blue widgets. And so when somebody types blue widgets in the search thing or something like that, you want to make sure that you're in the number one spot, because that's going to get like 85–90% of the sales for blue widgets. So for guys' sakes, don't skimp, but make sure that whatever you're trying to whatever you're going to sell, whatever you're going to come out with private label, that you can afford to get those rankings out there. If you don't have any money for to be able to get reviews, then I honestly don't think I would. I do private label for a while. I hate to tell you that, but I wouldn't. You've got to be able to afford it. And that's the thing about private label. You've got to be able to afford to get it, because private label is all about promotion, folks. I hate to tell you. It's not about retail arbitrage. It's not going out to see what kind of price you can get. Price in private label doesn't amount to that much, but the reviews do. And so the more you can afford to get the reviews, the better off you can. But count your costs. That's what I'm trying to teach you. I don't want to see you go out and order the product from Amazon, from your supplier, get all these products sent in, and then found out that you don't have the money to get the reviews, because your product's just going to sit there and it's going to what can I tell you? It will get moldy, but and you probably sell some, but you're not going to sell a lot. And so I don't want to see you do that. I want to see you be successful. So count the cost. How many reviews can you overcome, and how many reviews can you afford? Because reviews are where it's at when it comes to private label. Rank and reviews, but what determines the rank is pretty much the reviews, because if they like your product and they're buying your product, then they're going to give you good reviews. So what can I say? So we're going to go on here to number 4. And can I compete and still make money? Now, naturally, one of the things you want to do is negotiate the best deal with your supplier. Do your due diligence, talk to the supplier, talk him, and work with him, and you're going to get a good deal. Might not be the deal, exactly the best deal you want, but it could be the deal that'll work. Will it work for you? Can I compete and still make money? Negotiate the best deal with your supplier. Spend some time with them. Don't talk to them 2 or 3 times and then expect them just to be your best buddy and give you Best price. Well, excuse me, my wife will get that phone. I'm sorry. I usually unplug it, but I forgot about it. Oh, she got it already. So she's good. Thank you, wife. Anyway, she's a good wife, by the way. Anyway, negotiate that best deal with your supplier. And then, for God's sakes, now especially, because with this new shipping rates, where they're shipping by uh, volume, what we call it, rather than true weight. Man, I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but it jumped my shipping costs up 25%. You need to be aware of it. You need to know, and it's more reasons why you don't want to be sending that product to you. Want to send that product right to Amazon, because those costs are getting ridiculous, folks, and they add to your risk. And it used to be years ago. I'd heard them. When we first not when we first got started, because I haven't been with it that long, but 2-3 years ago, when everything was going to talk about retail arbitrage, and then nobody figured the freight in there. They just sent stuff in and hope it would sell, and usually it did. But the problem is that you weren't making a lot of money, because between the returns and the shipping costs and everything else, people a lot of times were just spinning their wheels by the time they figured their gas and everything. You need to know how you need to measure the risk. You got to know what your costs are. What can I tell you? That when you negotiate that deal with supplier, and get them down. It doesn't have to be exactly. It's got to be someplace where you can make money, because and then you're going to test with a minimum order quantity, MOQ. What can I tell you? Use it with an MOQ, you're going to get a higher price, but that's okay, because you're going to find out if your product's going to sell. If you can jump over your competitors, if you can get that product ranking up there, it doesn't make any difference. But make sure before you pull the trigger and buy that product that you know exactly what it's going to cost you. Going into Amazon, you're going to know exactly, if you're buying from overseas, what the custom is. And everything else. And I'll give you an example here. And I'm always using examples of myself, because I've made enough mistakes, and I want you to learn from my mistakes so you don't make the same thing. Water time again. I don't know. Today I've been all horse in that, so I don't know why. But 2-3 years ago, when I was first getting started in this, as you know, I think a lot of you know that I sell cutting boards, and some cutting boards, and I figured one of the products that would really go along with that cutting board is a sizing oil. I call it rejuvenating lotion, or whatever you want to call it, but that goes along with the cutting boards. You really need, if you're going to keep your cutting boards in good shape and you're going to keep it in the thing, you need to use some kind of a cutting board oil or a rejuvenating lotion. So and I thought, well, this is a natural extension. So I went out, and this is the one I think I've told you before, that I found it on the 12th page of Google. Unless, because remember what I told you, and I'll give you this tip alone. When you look in the United States and you're Google for a supplier and stuff like that, you're not going to find them usually the best supplier on page 1 or 2. Like I say, on this one I found on page 12. Why? Because most of these suppliers are businessmen. They know how to run their plant and everything like that, but they don't know diddly about SEO or anything like that to do with the internet. And so a lot of times you're going to find they hired some kid to put up a website for them, and they're there, and they're back down to, like I say, on the 12th page. There's nothing wrong with that, but you got to do your due diligence, and that's what I keep talking about. You got to look. But anyway, so I did that, and I found this supplier in Ohio, and what I did was I wanted to have this made, and the number one ingredient from any kind of a rejuvenating lotion or a thing like that is either beeswax or mineral oil. I'm sorry. Boy, I'm in bad shape tonight. So I contacted them. They said sure, they would be glad to bottle something. It was a bottling company is what it was, or a processing plant, we would call it. And I told them what I was looking for, and they said sure. So I said, well, what about a minimum quantity? And they said, well, something like that, because what you're talking about is not something that we carry, and I don't think anybody really does carry. We would have to go out and buy it, and the best place we can only buy it by the barrel. And I'm thinking, well, okay. And so I'm thinking, how much? And they said, well, uh, it's not the quite what it's going to do. We're going to have to we would run a whole barrel full of this into the bottles, and these are 12-ounce bottles. And what it did, it said you're going to run with about 1,600 bottles. And I'm thinking, wow, 1,600, that's a lot. But I think I can do it. I think I can do it. So man, I figured it out and everything like that. And I thought, oh, yes, I know I can do it. And I guess I was new and I really wanted to do it. And uh, so I pulled the trigger and I paid for them. They bottled the 1,600, and it's a beautiful looking product. Looks good, stands up tall. It's a tall, good looking bottle, and it sells good on Amazon. I'm selling about 3 a day, maybe something like that. Which is nothing wrong with that, except that Amazon's got this long-term storage fee. And so the other day I get a letter from Amazon, or about a month ago, I guess, or maybe longer than that, 6 weeks. I don't know. Doesn't make any difference. But it said they were going to charge me $1,500 for long-term storage fee. It wasn't only this product. There was another product in there that I bought from. It was a game I bought, and it sold real good at Christmas time. But man, I didn't. I bought 350, and I think I only sold. Well, I sold about 220 of them. So what I did. At Christmas time, which was good, and I'm happy about that and everything. And I completely forgot about this long-term storage fee till they sent it in. So I had to pull the trigger. I didn't want to pay that $1,500, so I had the product sent to me, and it's coming in now, coming in my garage, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to send them probably right on back to Amazon, but it's going to cost me more money because of this. So this is something, what I'm trying to tell you here is because I didn't have any choice on this. If I wanted to do this product, I had to do the 1,600. And believe me, I promoted this, and the competition's heavy, and it's good. I'm thrilled with the 3 a day. I'd like to have it where it's 50 or 50 a day or something like that. But in this particular thing, I don't know that's going to happen. Because there's a lot of reviews and everything else, and this is I did when I was first getting started. So what can I tell you? So that's something you have to check on your risk, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. There, in that case, my minimum order quantity was 1,600 or however many they got. When they ran it, they run it. And I used to, in my other life before I moved to Florida, we did have a bottling plant. We bottled milk and ice cream, made bottled milk and made ice cream in it. So I do know how a bottling plant works. And like I say, you have what you do, you put it in and you run it out until you get it. How many, you'll know at the end how many bottles you got. Well, like I say, it was 1,600 and some bottles. So anyway, I'm in a garage right now and we're selling them back, but I learned. And can I compete and still make money? You need to know all this stuff, folks. I'd love to help you. And of course, we go through and we get the private things like that, and I'd be glad to help you. Or if you don't, just PM me. I'd be glad to help you out if you don't understand some of this stuff, because I can't really, don't have really time to go into it with a lot of detail. I try to give you examples of where I've made a mistake. Usually those ones where I make a mistake is where I learned the best, and where I can give you the best advice, because there's nothing like a good old-fashioned mistake to change your way of thinking. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm kind of hard-headed, and I don't learn just by hearing it. I gotta experience those tough times, but can I compete and still make money? That's important, folks. If before you pull that trigger, figure out your costs and figure out exactly what you're going to do. Can I afford to spend the money to jump those reviews, to get more reviews than whoever my competitor is? And it's something you need to know, and it's something that that you're stuck with. So, and number 5, the reason, and here again, this is stuff that I talk about all the time. Do I like the product enough to promote it? Because, folks, private label is promotion. I don't care what you talk about. Once you get that product picked out, you get your supplier picked out, and you get it sent to Amazon, the rest is nothing but promotion, which you can do sitting on the beach, you can do wherever you want, and that's why it's a private label lifestyle. But private label is promotion. You know, if you think you're going to go out and you're going to cherry pick something from, so say Alibaba, and you're going to buy 100, 200 or something like that, send them in, and then next month you're going to go out and get a different product or something like that. Man, that you might as well be doing retail arbitrage or something like that. You need to get into a brand, and that's start for another thing, but you want something to promote something, because you want to be able to send your customers a love letter. You want to be able to talk to those customers. You want them to buy other products, you know. So private label is promotion, and there's no way you're going to get around it if you're going to do private label and enjoy the lifestyle. So would you use the product yourself? Would you use the product yourself? You know, would you show off your product to your family and neighbors? In other words, are you proud about it? You know, if you're not proud of your product, then if you're not proud of that product, then I wouldn't buy it. I'll be honest with you, because it's going to be a drudge for you to promote it. But you know, when you're proud of a product, when you're excited about a product, when that product is number one on your list, and you think about it, then man, you're going to do good, because you want to promote it. You're going to promote it every day. You're going to talk about it, and you're going to maybe send articles. You're going to do whatever you have to promote your product, just like I do. You know, we promote every day. That's what private label is all about. So that's it, folks. Do I like the product enough to promote it? You know, you want to be able to promote your product. You want to be able to like the product. You know, does that make sense? I hope it does. And you know, if you're just doing a product because you found a great deal on it and you think it'll sell all right, and but you're sure not excited about it, you know, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't pull the trigger. I want you want to do something you're proud of. So with that being said, that's the 5 things, and or 5 reasons there, 5 important facts that you should know about selling your products. You know, so with that said, I'm going to stop the screen share here. We're going to go over to right here where you can see my beautiful face, and I will keep talking. And okay, what do we got? Answer questions. Okay, here's questions. And that's where we're going to go to next. So I'll invite you here right now. The question thing is over here on the, well, to my side, it's the right over here. So put your questions in, and I will be glad to answer. We'll stay here and we'll answer them all. And I hope you're getting something out of this. I know I sure am. And I learn more just by looking up and doing research for these what we call Google Hangouts than anything else. And so I just really appreciate it, especially when you ask me questions, I get to answer them, and I like that. And then if you give me a question that I can't answer, I'll get back to you. So so we're going to select this one. I see Chris right here. Chris Monroe has got a question. After receiving his initial samples, do you recommend receiving several samples prior to having it mass produced, or is a few pictures of the product enough? Ooh, that's a good question, Chris. I'll be honest with you. You know, after you receive the initial samples, you can, before they're shipped to you, you can ask for pictures all around. Which you're going to need anyway, because you want to get your listing built and everything else. But you can ask for pictures all around of the product and everything like that, so you can inspect it. I think I've told you in some of my first ones, if it was my first time with supplier, I've had a minimum order quantity shipped to me here in the States, and then I'd send it to Amazon, because I feel stronger. But if it's a product with a supplier that I know and I've done business with, and then I know that I can trust we got a good rapport going on, then no, I would send it to Amazon. You know, I'd pull the trigger, you know, and have it sent. But are the few pictures of the product enough? And like I said, it all depends, and you have to go by your gut feeling whether you can trust that supplier. And I hope you're doing business with suppliers that you can trust. But sometimes when you're first starting out, and you don't have the experience, you don't have the you know, haven't worked for the supplier before or something like that, you don't really know. So then maybe you know, you can have some samples sent to you, but let me see, let me read that again. After receiving initial sample, do you recommend receiving several samples prior to having a map produced, or is a few pictures of the product enough? It doesn't cost that much to have a few of the products. Maybe you just, well, oh, shoot. Uh, it all depends on what you're selling. If you if you've got a product like I've got that as a cutting board, then you're talking about a product that is really heavy. Uh, let's face it. But if it's your first time or something like that, there's no reason why you couldn't have one case of that product shipped to you and check it out. Check it out. I think I've told the thing on one of my first things when I first started a cutting board. I had it all laid out. The cutting boards were put in a box. We had a beautiful label made. The people over there in China made had the label printed for me. They put it on. They put it. Well, this is what's funny. So we suggested, and I thought I explained to them where that label should go, and all that, but there's just something about it. I just didn't feel right about it. And surely the lady over there said, well, and we were talking back and forth, and I said, send me some of them to me. Send me a couple cases of the product. So I had her send a couple cases prior to being put on the ship, because the cutting boards you don't send by air. The freight is high. It cost me a small fortune to get those 2 cases sent over here, and I don't know why I did 2 cases, because 1 box would have been plenty. But anyway, so they arrived, and I opened them up, and man, the cutting boards were fine, and the label was fine, except that they put the label inside the box. Now, why they did that, I don't have the slightest idea. So I get over, emailed her right away, and I said, Shirley, why did you put the label inside the box? She said, well, that's what we thought you wanted. We thought you were going to do something with it. I said, no, that label goes on top of the box. We paid extra for that box because the product already came shrunk wrap, but I paid extra for that box, and I want that label on the box. She says, okay, no problem. We do it tomorrow, and they get sent out. And I said, okay, that's fine. So they did. And when they arrived at Amazon, they were fine, But I hope, Chris, that answers your question. I don't know. But now I've got with Shirley, and she and I understand each other, and I'm pretty much to the point that I had to have her take a few pictures and all that before it's shipped to me if it's a new product or something like that, and we do that. So I hope that answers your question like that. In other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's something that you have to feel good about. Okay, here's another one from Chris. Do you recommend having the FBA barcode printed on the product versus a UPC code? No, I would use the UPC code, because I'll tell you why. Suppose you want to sell that product on eBay, you want to sell that product someplace else, you're going to need a UPC code, and you're going to need a UPC code to list it on Amazon. So no, I would never have the FBA barcode printed on the product. I would always use a UPC code, because it's universal, and like I say, you can sell it every place. If you're FBA barcode, no, I wouldn't. I would never. I would always have the UPC code, in which I usually do. It's right on the label, the cutting board oil, and the cutting boards and all that. I've got that UPC code on there, because that's universal, and that can go anywhere, and that sets you apart. People expect to see UPC codes on it. They don't want to see a FISCU code or any of the other codes, the FBA barcode printed on there. See, I think if you get this private label, because in other Google Hangouts that we've talked about, one of the best ways to almost double your income or double your sales is to sell that sell your FBA product on eBay, and have Amazon fulfill that product for you. So you don't want to have a Amazon barcode printed on your product that you're going to sell on eBay, but a UPC code, you can go anywhere. And there's a lot of other places you can sell those products on so many different venues, and then have Amazon fulfill. It's a no-brainer. Man, you can do that sitting by the pool. You can type out the order to, it takes about 2 minutes to set up to have Amazon ship your product to whoever you want. And you get the order from wake up in the morning, you get the thing from eBay saying, hey, you sold this and that, and you need to send it within so many hours and all that. So that's what you do. You send it to Amazon. Go over to Amazon and do a fulfillment order for your product to send it to your eBay customer, and that's all they are. So yes, I would. My answer is UPC code every time. Okay, here's another one, Chris Monroe. So that means pay the 20 cents to have Amazon prep. Oh, Chris, no. If I'm going to put the UPC code on, that's going to be on my label for one thing. It's right there in my label, so that means you send it to Amazon without having to prep. Put the UPC code on your label. And so you don't have to pay the 20%. Put it on your label, which your manufacturer is going to put on. No, you don't have to pay that 20 cents to Amazon. Matter of fact, I've never paid Amazon to put it on. It's always on my label. The UPC code is on my label. So that's really all you need, because nobody else is going to have that UPC code. That's your code. You buy it, and it's not. I suppose somebody could copy it if they wanted to, but Amazon's going to have it, because when you make the listing, right down at the bottom of the first page is where you put the UPC code. So if it's going to be on there, so does that mean that no? So you don't have to pay the 20 cents to have Amazon prep. I don't really have Amazon prep too much of anything. Most of the time, I'll be honest with you, I've got to set up so my suppliers. I send the if they're going to label it, my suppliers will label it for me. I send the fill out your listing down there where it says when it comes to print labels. I hit that where it says print labels. I print it to a PDF, and that PDF I send right to the supplier, which is the PDF of the 30F labels, and the supplier prints them out there, sticks them on my products for me, and they send them right to Amazon. So if that's the way I do it. That's the private label lifestyle that I keep talking about, because I don't want stuff coming to my house. I don't want to have to prep. I don't want to have to label. I've got some stuff over here right now that I'm doing because of necessity. Because certain things happen, and I forgot this is the way here. But certain things came about. Well, mainly because of the stuff that because of that. Long-term storage fee I was telling you about, and so I've got some stuff that I'm prepping right now, which I'm not. I can do it and it doesn't bother me, but I'm not happy to have to do it because I usually don't do it. I'm just getting ready to. You heard me last week. We're selling our house for one thing, and so I've got to tear all this stuff down within the next couple of weeks. So we haven't sold it yet, so we just got it listed. But I want to get to the point. Might as well be proactive and get it out of here, because I don't use the thing. This part here too much. I'm right now, because of the long-term storage fee, I am. But so Chris, I hope that answers your question. I don't like paying Amazon that 20 cents. If I had to, I would. I don't think it's that big a deal, but that's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. What can I tell you? If you get any more questions, I'd be glad to answer them, guys. Just put away. I see there's a few people on the show tonight, and I appreciate that. I'm here to answer questions. I'm willing to answer more questions if you got it. Let me see. Well, let me ask you guys a question. I know you're out there and got some answers. If you're willing, tell me, what would you like to see me talk about? Sometimes I think and I try to decide what would be a good idea, what could be a good topic to talk about, and all that. So if you can, just put a suggestion over there, and I'd be glad to take it, and I appreciate it. I see Chris here just popped up another one. So let's get it here selected. How do you get to ship your products to one location versus 3 locations when coming from overseas? Um, you Amazon Seller Central. At the far right, it's settings. Click settings, FBA settings. Uh, go down and you want to go to uh, it's the second one. It's either the second or third one without looking real quick on the list on the right down there. It's going to be where you can. The default is always Amazon's default is always for your product to go to 3 different locations. Okay, but by changing that default, it's the second one down there. You can have it all shipped to. I think it's called Amazon placement. Uh, Man, I forget, and I use it all the time because uh, almost everything I have sent to one warehouse. So, and I use that, but I go back and forth. But you just click it back and forth. It depends on the order like that, and then everything will go to one location. And especially when you're coming from uh, overseas. But now, let me ask you: I don't know what you're talking. If you're talking about pallets, or you're talking about boxes, or if you're talking cases. Uh, it all depends, because if you've got cases coming, you might as well have it shipped to all 3 locations. You know, you put when you fill out your listing on there, you can not only do individual units, but you can do cases. You can do cases, and so many in each case. And so put that in there, and Amazon will split the cases into 3 different places. And if you got more than one case, if you only got one case, then you always do case lots. You know, uh, that's another thing. I don't know. It all depends. But if you get a small part and it's coming over from overseas or someplace, or in the States, doesn't make any difference. But you've got one case of, say, 500 in that one case, you can still send to Amazon that case, do it case product with 500 in that case, and Amazon, they'll send it to one location. I did that the other day with some stuff I had, and so I did a 1 case lot, and the quantity was 48. It went to one location automatically, and I didn't have to check that box, because for the Amazon placement service, it does cost more money. They're going to charge you a little bit extra, and so sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But the one product that I get comes from Canada. I always send it a pallet. I always send it by 1 pallet, and I send it right to. We used to go to Indiana. Now the last time it went to Texas, something like that. But that's just wherever Amazon wants to sell it, because it's for one thing, it's cheaper to do that. But let me make sure I answered it. How do you get to ship your products to one location versus 3 locations? Okay, when coming from overseas, the same way you would do in the States like that. It's settings, FBA settings. It's the second one from the side is Amazon placement service, and it'll go. So, but like I say, that might not be the most cost effective. What difference it makes? You can they can put 3 labels on overseas just as well as they can put 1 label over there. You just send like I say, you go in there and print them out as a PDF, send them to the things to China. They print them out over there and put the labels on, and what can I tell you? Like I say, it depends on the thing. I hope that answers your question. And like I say, I still like to put that challenge out there. Be glad to answer your questions. But I'd like to ask you, what would you like for me to talk about in some of these future Google Hangouts? So I can ask. I watch the forum, see what's kind of hot that week, what people are talking about, and I don't know. I've got that thing that the forum things are changing right now. They're talking about private label, but now they're talking about gated communities, and gated communities are fine. And but let me ask you that: what's wrong with your own backyard? It's not, grass is not greener than any other. Grass is not greener in your neighbor's backyard or in those gated communities. And there's nothing wrong with having gated communities, but gosh darn it, I think if you're going to be a private labeler, get your brand set up, get things set up, and you don't want to be all over the board. Keep it in the same area. I've got 3 different areas I sell in. I pretty much stay in, and that's just the way it is because I've got those brands set up, and I like it that way. I can add more into that, and I have nowhere near saturated the audience for my saturated the area for my brands. I've been doing this 3 years, 4 years, and I'm just really getting started. And that's for the at. So what can I tell you? We've got 9 minutes, 10 minutes. Be glad to even spend overtime if you got more questions. I don't know, Chris, you seem to be asking the questions tonight. If you've got it, why? I see there's other viewers there beside Chris. Guys, don't be bashful, guys. I don't bite, as you can see. I'm here to answer questions for you. Would love to talk to you. And so with it being said, it's got 9 minutes, and you put a question up there, I will sure answer it with to say that I'm going to do a little shameless advertising here, that we do have the course, Sell Your Own Product on Amazon for Income and Lifestyle, with the emphasis on lifestyle, because as you can see, what I'm trying to teach you here is to send everything to Amazon. Let Amazon take care of the work, and you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to have this mess like I've got back here. You can see my scale back there and the thing, but my grandkids, that globe belongs to my grandson, and he was he wanted at the end of the year, school year, for some reason. Well, for one thing, it's old. Some of the new countries are not on that globe. But anyway, he was trying to figure it out. And I said, well, I ordered this product from here. And I said, now let's go see if we can find it. And so that's the reason the globe is there. But that's coming down. And like I say, this is all coming down. What can I tell you? And I see Chris has got another. Okay, let me see. That's a good question. Do you recommend setting up a private website as additional sales channels? Yeah. One thing the caveat, and I'm going to say it right now, it's sure not necessary. You don't have to do it. But I've got a private website. I mean, not private, but a couple websites out there. And well, just Christmas time, I'll tell you, I got an order on the one for over. Was it $1,400 on that one, and about fell over. This guy found it, and one of the things I sell is some bar stools, and so he bought $1,400 worth of bar stools for his was for a restaurant, is actually what it was for, and that was a nice sale when I got that from the private website. So do I recommend setting up? Yeah, if you got the time, if you know how to set it up. I don't recommend going out and spend paying somebody a lot of money to set up a website for it, but you can set up a website. WordPress, it's pretty much a set and do thing, and you got to know your way around it, but you can set it up, and but then when you get into your private website, if you're going to do it right, excuse me, so I'm going to get a drink of water. If you're going to retail thing, you need to almost you need to put the gosh, I'm getting tongue-tied here. I'm sorry, Chris. Not the autoresponder. What am I trying to say? You need the system to be able to sell it, to do it good. Or you can, if you've only got 1 or 2 products, you can set it up with PayPal, and that's fairly simple to do. You can go over and have a PayPal button made for the one product, and you're fine on that. But if you get a lot of products, you need to go to one of these sites, a retail site, or that are set up for WordPress or whatever, and bring it on and do that, and then you're starting getting into some money. So like I say, it spread the cost. You don't want to get yourself spread real thin. It's just like a couple of weeks ago, somebody asked me in one of the forums, and that about registering your brand with Amazon and everything like that, and they hadn't even got a product yet. And I thought, wow. Matter of fact, it was on Dwayne Malick's site, is what I call it. Dwayne said, Andy Slamans is on there, I'm on there, Brett Bartlett, and then he says, hey guys, what do you three think on that? And I think that we all three kind of chimed in and said, I think it's way too early to be thinking about that. Plan. Yes, I think a website's good. I think is the website necessary? No. But I think if you've got the time and you've got the expenses, like I say, set yourself up to win. Don't spread yourself real thin. But if you've got the time and you can do it, then yes, do it. And I think it's a good idea. So answer that one. See, Chris is another one. Hey, Chris, I appreciate these. Let's see. What are your thoughts on private label grocery and food products? Whoa. I'm probably a good one because I don't know if you've been followed me for very long, you know that I decided a couple years ago that I wanted to set this course up and teach private label. But I also thought if I'm going to teach private label, then I have to know all the other stuff on Amazon, because that's what I started out doing, private label. I'm a graduate of the first ASM course. I loved it. It's a good course. And so I started doing private label, was doing real good. But then I got in and I went to CES, which is Jim Cockrum's thing, and I learned a lot there. And I saw that a lot of people were doing a lot of different things, from all the way from test strips to retail arbitrage to wholesale and everything else. And I thought it was so much. So I thought, well, if I'm really going to teach private label, then I've got to know what the other options are. So I spent almost a year. I joined Dwayne Malick. I was one of the first ones in his fast turn coaching and into his group. I was one of the first ones. Matter of fact, I'm still grandfathered in. And what I paid is ridiculous compared to what he's charging now. And I don't mean that as bragging. It's just that I've been in that long. And the same way with Todd Lammy with Wholesale Intel. Man, I'll tell you, those are both two. I spent some time in, and those guys are neat. They know exactly what you're talking about. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, this is the first month that I just pulled out of Todd Lammy's group. I've been in for well over a year, but he's got a cap on his, and for this stuff, and I just felt that I was really just taking somebody's spot because he's had a waiting list and that, so I dropped out. Not because Todd Lammy is a heck of a great guy, good teacher. Couldn't recommend Dwayne and Todd. I just can recommend them. I mean, they're great. So on private label grocery, and also on top of it. So when I first got in with Dwayne Malick, and that's when groceries were coming out, and I sold a ton of groceries. I was doing, well, I'm not going to talk about it. I say I don't. I want to talk about money, but I was doing quite a little bit, especially in the grocery field, and a lot of money. And when I first started, somebody, and I'm not quite sure who it was anymore because it's been quite a while ago, but they said, and my question was, well, if you're going to go into selling groceries and that, how would you do it? And their advice was that you take one aisle in the grocery store, one aisle, which the one that you think you might like or something like that, and you go in that aisle and you don't leave that aisle until you know every product in that aisle. And that's exactly what I did. And the aisle I chose was cookies and crackers, and I'm an expert on cookies and crackers, private label. And I've got a private label supplier that does cookies and crackers for me. But yes, the thing you've got to worry about though is cookies and crackers. And I'm going to be honest with you now too on this, because Amazon, I've got a problem with Amazon when it comes to groceries and that. I would send products in, and if it would arrive at Amazon broken or something like that, I could get reimbursed from UPS. But all of a sudden, and I never sent things in where it would just be onesies and twosies. It would always be case lots, or I'd always make sure that I had over 30 or so that they would automatically go to one spot. And so the product always arrived at that one spot. It was fine and everything like that. And then they would repack it, send it to other warehouses. And all of a sudden I started getting a lot, and I mean a lot, of returns because of broken and crackers, broken crumbles and things like that. And so I really had a problem with that because and yet there wasn't anything I could do about it. Amazon would send them back to me, and I'd donate them or give them away to the church or something. But I've got a problem. Private label groceries and food products. You've really got to watch it because for one more thing, when you do whether it's private label or anything, you got the extra label, and you're not going to be able to have your supplier put that label on there. So that means you're going to have to send it to you. And you're going to have to do that labeling, and you make sure that they'll give you the private labeler. The supplier that I've got right now has guaranteed me that he won't send me anything that has a code date less than 9 months out. And you got to get to the point with the thing that you can guarantee that, because if they're going to send you something with a code date that's 90 days. By the time you get it, get a mixture down to 60 days, and then if that sucker don't sell right away, you got returns coming back. So is private label groceries good? Yes, private label groceries is good, but you've got to it's a lot more work. It's at least 50% more work than anything else. And like I say, it's going to cost you more because you're going to have to have the product sent to you, unless you can figure out some way for that thing to put the code date on there. But I don't think so. I think you're gonna have to have that product sent to you, which means you're gonna have to put an extra label on it. And what can I tell you? I hope that answers it to you, Chris. What can I tell you? I think groceries are good, but there's a lot of work, and that's kind of what we're trying to teach you not to have to work here. We like that private label lifestyle, which is having the product sent right to Amazon and going from there. Would you suggest selling seasonal products under a private label? Christmas, Halloween. Oh, would you suggest selling seasonal products under a private label? Yeah, I think I do, because I'm having to think that one of the brands that I do sell is seasonable. It's a sporting goods product, but it's a product that's more for wintertime than it is for summertime. Well, summertime you're usually outside and you're playing everything else. This is a product that's wintertime, and I do sell it under private label. But that's more like the time of year rather than Christmas or Halloween. Dun, 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 dun. Chris, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think I'd have to do a lot of due diligence on that, and it would depend on the product and everything else. And I'm trying to think of a product that Halloween, of course, you could come out with a line of costumes or something like that, but I don't know. I really don't know on that. I think it would depend on the product. There's no reason why you couldn't do a private label product, but whether it would be worthwhile, because the thing of it is, if you knew how many you were going to sell, you'd be all right. But with Amazon, if you're buying from overseas, a lot of suppliers have these minimum order quantities that they're getting higher, and then with the shipping and everything else, you got to watch it. And so if Halloween, for instance, comes once a year. So if you order in, say, Halloween's in when it's Halloween, end of October. Man, I'm telling you, that's right around my birthday, and I can't even. I'm bad shape tonight. All right, so it comes October, which means you almost have to have it into Amazon by the end of August, 1st of September, uh, if you're going to sell it for that. So that means that anything that you have left after November has to sell before the rest of the year. No, I don't know. I think there's a lot of. I hope you understand where I'm going with this, because I think those long-term storage fees, if you read it with the 6 month that they're doing now and everything else, I think they're changing the game on a lot of products, and I think a lot of private labor, a lot of wholesalers are going to get caught with their proverbial pants down, maybe, what do you want to call it. But I think I would really, on a seasonal product, I think I would really think twice and really count my costs to see that I can do it. If it was something that would, because what are you going to do with a Christmas tree after Christmas, or a pumpkin after Halloween? I can't see them. I see some Halloween toys selling all. I've got some over here now that some lanterns that I got, and there was a big mix-up. At Halloween, the picture was sent in, didn't work out, and something like that, and then the listing got lost, and I forgot about it, and all of a sudden I found out that I had 100 and some of these Halloween lanterns that little kids carry around. So I've got those over there that I've got to deal with before I get the house sold. So I need to get them out of here and create a listing for them, and they'll be all right. But I hope that answers your question. I know that wasn't a straightforward answer, and I guess that's what I'm trying to tell you. I would really count my costs and to see what, if my own thing is know how many you're going to sell. But the only way you can know this is to try it. And so I don't know. I sure wouldn't think that would be something on my easy list. I think that would be something that I'd really have to count the costs, and, like I say, with that guy with the thing, and measure the risk. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's where I'm at on that. So let me know if you decide to do it. Let me know, and we'll brainstorm about it. But right now, I guess I think I would say that would not be on my easy list. It would be something that if I just had a lot of time and I wanted to try something out and do it, then okay. All right, then I got another one here. Okay. Is there a sourcing site for suppliers similar to Alibaba for U.S. manufactured? I would like to have products made in the U.S., but I have found prices to be higher. Yeah, Chris. Yes, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It is there is a very good source, and they do specifically for Amazon sellers and eBay sellers. They're great. It's I keep referring it to wholesale brands, and that's not the right name. And I learned by that from years ago. Can you excuse me just a minute? And I'm going to have to I'm going to turn this off. And I'm just stay with me 1 minute. I'm going to find something on my computer. If I can find that really right here. Oh shoot! I'm sorry, Chris. I'm here looking, and I can't find it right off the bat. I'm sorry. Let me see. Um, okay, I'm back here now. Not that I got anything to hide. I'm just trying to think how I can. Because what I might have to do is PM me with the site, because oh, darn it. Uh, and they just went through a revamp, and oh, I know it's Worldwide Brands is what it is, and I have a link for it. Let me go here. Let me see if I can find it. I do have a link for it someplace. Um, oh yes, here. Okay. I'm shoot, getting it right here. Hold on just 1 second. Here is a link. Copy. All right, I'm back here. Let me see. Now, how can I give you this link? Um, hold on here a minute, Chris. Can you see down here at the bottom where it says private label selling comp page ID 219? That's the link to the course. And then I'm going to put something, and I'm going to put this link right here, and I hope you can see it. It's Worldwide Brands right there. That is an excellent site. Matter of fact, like I say, they just did the site completely, but they have got tons of suppliers in there. Matter of fact, what you do on this site is you put the product you want, that you're looking for, you put it in, and it'll bring you up sometimes 7 or 8 different suppliers for that product. And that's where almost all my suppliers come from. I recommend the site. I couldn't more highly recommend this, what I'm trying to tell you. So and where am I? And I got over here, and I'm back here, and there I am back. So I hope you can find that. If you're not, PM me and I will send you the link. But I hope you can read that. It's Worldwide Brands, and that right there. But I can't, like I say, recommend it enough. It is really a neat site and really good. And that's mostly suppliers. That's, I think almost all my suppliers came from there. And if you know, I talk about people hiring VAs to find suppliers. To me, that's a big waste of time. What can I tell you? You can find more from this one site than you'll ever use. And you know, and if you follow along, you're going to find out that I'm a big advocate of taking one thing and using it to the fullest, because to me, you got to get your best deals when you take a supplier and you're friends with the supplier. You know the supplier, he knows you, and you're going to get your best deals from him. If you just go cherry pick one product from this supplier, one product from that supplier, one product from this supplier, you're not going to get to know the suppliers, and you're not going to get the good deals. But you can do it that way. A lot of people do it that way, but I think they just cause themselves more problems. I think you're better off to stick with one supplier, and if that's the supplier, use every product that supplier's got, you know, before you move on to somebody else. That's me. Well, what can I tell you? All right. So we're done with that, I guess. I'd like to have, so like I say, if you don't, Chris, I'm Terry Scheider at Google Plus, or you know, you can put a note in there, and I'll get back to you with that link and everything else. But with that said, it's 9:15. If you don't have any more questions, we're going to call this thing off. And but if you got more questions, like I say, I'd be glad to. And I would. really neat, Chris. I'm glad you came up with all those questions. Like I say, that's what I'm here for, and I enjoy it. So I hope I helped you out. I hope to see we got more than just Chris on there. I hope I helped all of you out. That's what this is all about. It's all about us helping each other. You know, like I say, I do have the course, which it's a shameless promotion. I think you'd really get a lot out of it. I think you'd enjoy it. It's all about private label and a private label lifestyle. And there's also another course thrown in there about eBay, and it's all in there. And you know, and be glad to work with you all. Be glad to work with you like this. So, so with that being said, I'm going to call this a night, and I hope to see you all next week. We'll be here at 8 o'clock next Thursday night. Don't know what the topic's going to be yet. I see nobody put the a suggestion for the topic, but we'll come up. I will pray about it or whatever, and we will come up with a topic. And with that being said, we will see you next week, and you have a good week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.